Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Eagle Pass District Service Center for today's EPISD special meeting. Today is May 20th, 2024, and the time is 5:50, and we call this meeting to order. At this moment, if we can have a moment of silence to honor our board member Lupita Fuentes and our previous board member, longtime Eagle Pass High School principal, Mr. Rudy Bowles. Thank you. Now, Mr. Mijares, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Mr. Mijares. And now we will have roll call. We have Ms. Hilda P. Martinez, Vice President present, Dr. Hector Alvarez, Secretary present, Ms. Glenda Purcell, Trustee present, Mr. Christopher Hiller, Trustee present, Mr. Victor Perry, Trustee present, Mr. Samuel Mijares, Superintendent present, Ms. Valerie Carrillo present, our attorney, and myself, Jorge Barrera, present. And now we will move to citizens' communications and recognitions, and we do not have any citizens' communications, so we will move to recognitions. We will start with recognition of the Eagle Pass High School Eagles baseball team for their outstanding season, placing fourth in District 36A with a record of 15-8-2, and were crowned by district champs and advanced to their area championship.
Good evening, Mr. President, distinguished members of the board, and of course, Superintendent Mijares. Thank you for allowing me to spend some time with you this evening. Up first, we're recognizing your very own Eagle Pass High School baseball dynasty, as once again the Eagles snatched a fourth place in district, a by-district championship title, and advanced all the way to area. Way to go, Eagles, and keep making EPHS the name to beat. At this time, we invite the board and Superintendent Mijares to come down with photos. All right, before iVision gets their official shot, if there are any parents that would like to take place in the middle, you can take your photo before we get our official district one. You can move to the middle to get your photo. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you can't have a dynasty like the baseball team does without somebody known as, well, we used to call him Mr. 300, and now he's Mr. 400, the leader of Eagle Pass High School Baseball, the one and only Coach Reyno Mendoza. We do invite the family to join him for the photo. Up next, we have Juan and Seguin Elementary's Mighty Longhorn Dance Team, who went all the way to SeaWorld in San Antonio to show just how mighty they are. At the Cheer and Dance America competition, the Longhorns won first in Palm, Best Sportsmanship, Best Uniform, and Grand Champion, bringing home some major hardware to Longhorn Country. Way to go, ladies. If there are any parents who'd like to get their photo before iVision's official, you can go to the middle and take your photo right now. If there are any parents who'd like to get their shot before the official one. And now, how about them Tigerettes from Graves Elementary? The Graves Elementary Tigerette dance team attended the Showstoppers dance competition, and they received first in Platinum Production, the 2024 Double Platinum Award, the Presentation Award, and the Entertainment Award, showing the Showstoppers just how show-stopping the Tigerettes can be. Once again, if there are any parents that would like to get their photo before the official one, this is your time to do so. And now, your gems from Seco Mines Elementary mined for gold when they attended the MC Day National Competition. The Seco Mines dance team won first place in the junior division and second place in elementary, letting them know gems really do shine the best. Ladies and gentlemen, your Seco Mines Elementary dance team. At this time, if there are any parents that would like to get their photo before the official shot, this is your moment to do so. Stampeding onto the scene is Armando Sterna's Stallionet Dance Team. The 2023-2024 Stallionettes attended the Red Line two-day national competition in San Antonio. And boy, did they let San Antonio see what Stallion Strong really meant. Congratulations, ladies, on your first place. Okay, parents, this is your opportunity to, they already caught on. And now get ready for a double dose of RVE excellence. Up first, representing the Blazing Sapphires dance team, we have the first place MCDA Dance and Cheer winners from Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. The Sapphires let everyone know just who RVE was. If I have any parents that'd like to come forward to take a photo, this is your moment to do so. And now, rounding out our recognitions for tonight is Rosita Valley's very own Roadrunner Cheer team. Roadrunner Cheer attended the MCDA Dance and Cheer competition at Six Flags as well, and they snatched a first place in that division. Then they took the journey to the All-Star competition in San Marcos, Texas at Texas State. And boy, did they let them know Roadrunner Cheer was here to stay as they picked up another first place. Way to go, RVE Cheer. Parents, this is your time to take. Yeah, there you go.
Now we will move to our first budget workshop. Mr. Mijares, take it away.
Yes, good evening. The book that says presentation, that's the one that you need to get. That's a PowerPoint presentation that I'll be going over. Presentation, it's this one. We had the budget committee meeting during lunch. It took a longer than we expected, but I think it was a very productive meeting that we had. Another thing, everything that I will be presenting tonight, the budget's already completed. We can actually adopt it if we wanted to adopt it, so it's done. At this point, there's no unknowns. We really know everything we need to know in order to prepare it. And we do know that the main thing is that we're using the same funding that we've had for the last several years. The state has not given us any money. So that's reflected with all the numbers. I just want to make sure that's very clear, okay? And you'll see the numbers once we go through it. I'm going to go through the PowerPoint pretty fast. As you all know, you go through this with me every year. This is the first budget workshop, so it has a lot of information. However, if I need to explain something, just let me know and I'll stop.
Okay.
Okay, these are that's the format that we have to use when we prepare the budget, which is what we do every year. We have to divide the budget into 4 categories. The first category is your general fund. We have 20 funds there. That composes about 98% of the budget. So most of your budget's gonna be in your general fund. 20 funds, they're gonna be summarized, and that's what your general fund's gonna be. It starts from food service and all the funds in between, all the way to the M&O. The second category are the special revenue funds. Those are grants. We have 4 grants there. The first one, 242 through 461. And then we have our debt service fund, which is what we use to pay our debt, where we levy the tax rate, and then our capital projects funds. Capital projects funds, when you see your financial reports every month that I bring to the board, you're gonna be seeing a substantial increase in that budget because we have several agendas tonight, about $14 million that are gonna go into the special projects if you approve it tonight. There, that's the general fund. It's 20 funds. That's what I give you every month as part of the financial statements that I bring to the board. And it starts all the way from food service all the way to 199, which are the M&O. All these are state mandated programs, state mandated funds, and we are required to have a budget for all of them. Special revenue funds, those are the grants that we talked about. We have the summer. For the summer, we have summer program for food service. It's a grant. We apply for it, we get it, and that's how we do the summer program during the summer. Then you have the special ed grant that we get for special ed. Then you have what we had Mr. Patrick Salinas present last time. This is a instructional facilities allotment. This is an instructional materials allotment. That's 410, that's where we buy our textbooks, and then you have the elementary fund. Those are the ones that are included in the special revenue funds in the budget for next year. This is your debt. When we do the tax rate, we do the tax rate for the M&O, and then we do the INS. Every time you adopt a tax rate, you do the 2 components, and this is what we use to pay our debt. We levy a tax rate, we get money from the state, and then we go ahead and pay our debt, what we owe. And then those are the capital projects that right now we don't have anything in there, but it's gonna go up pretty soon once we're done. As you see here, like I told you, your general fund, most of the money is in the general fund, 97, 98%. So that's where all your money is gonna be. That's where, the reason that's where most of your money, because those are the state funds that we get from the state, mostly. This is something that we always put. A lot of people think that the local taxes fund our budget. They only fund our budget 50%. They only fund our budget by 15%. Most of our budget is funded by the state. You see there, it's over 72%, about 72%. And then you have other local and federal. So we're very careful with state funding. Anytime that something's gonna happen with state funding, we're gonna be impacted. The appraisal district, as you know, we did an appeal. We were gonna lose about $2 to $5 million, and we were gonna lose it in state funding. We were able to win that appeal, so we don't have to worry about losing money. So Anything that's gonna affect us is gonna be when we're affected with the state revenues. This is the other one, how the money goes. Most of the money goes into payroll, as you see there. About 81, 82% goes into payroll. That's a fixed cost, as we were explaining to our budget committee today. That money we have, it's fixed. It carries from year to year to year. We cannot do away with it. So most of the budget's already earmarked. And then you have your 6200s, which are your utilities. That's already earmarked, your supplies, your capital outlay, and your debt service. These are all the funds that we get. They're in 2 sheets of paper. We give you the program director, the type of funding, and this is everything we get in funding and in budgets. Those are all the budgets that the district has. We're looking at about 52 different budgets that we have to work with, give or take. We were talking about revenue a few minutes, right? When you look, this is the first column is what we have this year. The next column is what we have for next year. If you look at the revenue, 149.7 million for this year, you look at the column for next year, it's exactly the same amount of money. We're not getting more money. And since the appeal, we were able to win that appeal, we're not getting less money. So we're working with the same amount of money on the revenue. On the expenditures, the budget right now is very conservative. We don't have, it's pretty much the same amount also in the expenditures. The only difference there are the carry forwards from grants that we have, which is about 400,000 when you add them all together, which looks like if we're budgeting a little less for next year. This is your budget. This is what we're gonna be submitting to TA. This is the format. As you see the categories on top, general, food service, debt service, special revenue funds, and capital projects. When we do this through PEMS, this is what we submit. And as you see the numbers there, we're carrying a very minimal, we're carrying a deficit. That deficit that we have there is an increase that we had 2 years ago. 173 million, when you add all the funds, here you can see the amounts, food service. When we're looking at food service and we bring information about food service, you can see that they have a budget of $15.4 million. And then you see their payroll, contracted service, 6,300, 64, 6,600. And then there you see all the funds. This includes all the funds. And when you add them up, you have $173 million of appropriations. And then you can look at the percentages at the bottom that we have in payroll and contracted services and so forth. We're gonna look at revenues. This is the M&O fund. This is the one where we levy a tax rate and where we have more control as to how we spend the money. And as you see, the revenues are exactly the same. There is no variance. So this is a very conservative budget. We're not putting there money that we don't think we're gonna receive. We're just putting there what we know that we'll be receiving. And for next year, it will be the last year of the biennium. Hopefully when the legislators meet again, hopefully they will increase our funding. Just one of the methods, when we went to Austin and we talked to one of the people over there, they had different projections and different rules as to what districts would be entitled to get if one of them was approved. One of them was that we would be funded based on enrollment and not ADA. Because right now, we can have the students, but if they don't show up, we don't get money for them. And right now, we're at a very low percentage. So if this would have been approved, which they had the funding for it, and which everybody felt to approve it, we would have gotten about $16 to $17 million more. Substantial impact. And that's what we discussed when we were there. For whatever reason, hopefully this next time around, things work out a little bit better for the school districts in the state of Texas. Because everybody's suffering, nobody's getting more money. These are the appropriations. We're not putting there anything that we don't have this year. So it's the exact same amount, 89.9 million, 89.9 million for next year. I'm gonna go with this in detail. If there's a slide that you need to understand, is this one. And it's gonna encompass the meat of everything here just on this page. This year we started with a fund balance of $70.5 million. That was our fund balance. Then for this year's budget, we had a deficit of 5.6 million. Then we got those ESSER funds, which this year is the last year of 6.6. So we were projected to end this year at 71.5 million, a plus. We were gonna have a surplus, we were not gonna have a deficit. However, we do have some recommendations on the table for tonight. One of them that we already approved was a remodel for food service. It cost a little bit over $2 million. We also have a track relocation of 5 million, a little bit over $5 million. We also have the crossing trails for both high schools, $518,000. We also have the multi-purpose building, and as I was corrected, this is a multi-purpose building. It is just not for one specific group. It'll have multi-purposes for it. It's gonna be 4.9 million. And then we have the air condition at Memorial that's gonna cost 1.7. Once you add up all those up and you put everything in line, side by side, you're looking at coming up that we're gonna have to fund $14.2 million, which is a summary of all those. Then instead of our fund balance being 71.4 for the end of this year, it'll be 57.2. Our fund balance will go down to that amount. And then when you look at next year, we have that deficit that we've been carrying, so our fund balance will go down to 51.6. And then when you look at the following year, so we can look at ahead, you again carry those 5.6 million, you're looking at 45.9. So all of a sudden, this year, we were projected at having a 71.4, and we're going down to a little bit over $45 million. This is a graph, so you can see it back and forward. It wasn't that long time ago when in 2019 to 20, when we had COVID, our fund balance was just $17.4 million. And that's what it averaged out every year for many years. Then we had that good year that we went from 17.4 to 51.7. I gave a report to the board at a board meeting and gave you these numbers back then, and they materialized. So we were able more than double our fund balance from one year to the next, which has never happened. And then in 2021-22, we went from 51.7 to 66.9 million. Then 22-23, 70.5 million. And then you see where it's going down for next year. Once we do all those projects, it's gonna be at 57.2. It is still better than 17.4. Even after we fund all the projects and everything, we're still better off than we were in 1920. And then it'll narrow down to 51.6. As it was discussed together, even our superintendent said, we're being very hopeful that in the near future, the state's gonna have to do something with the funding and help us out, because they haven't done anything for many years. So this is and then to the right, you have the 2-month cost, or the 2-month reserve is 29.2, and we're way over it. So, and then you look at our tax rate at the top there, we've reduced our tax rate substantially. I mean, I've never seen the tax rate go down by that much, and it continues to go down. And this year was 76 cents, and we're projecting for next year to be at 70, going down a little bit, or maybe a little bit more, but it will not be going up. Are there any questions on this graph? This is the general fund. It's the same information as the M&O, but it's all the 20 funds, and the amounts pretty much are the same. And this is something that I had to prepare for the rating agencies when they rate financial status of the school district. I need to make sure that they see that I did present this to the school board. Fund balances is very important. Here you're gonna see where we're at compared to other districts. We're number 6, we're in the middle. There's some districts that have a very low fund balance, and there's some of them that have a very high fund balance. And when we were at 17 million, we were one of the lowest fund balances. Now that this was 22-23, our fund balance is almost $72 million, then we look pretty good compared to our other peers. And that way you can see there's some bigger districts and there's some smaller districts that have more money. Del Rio has 41 million in fund balance. We have 71.4. And then you can see Crystal City and the other districts. That way you can get an idea how we compare to the other districts when it has to do with fund balance. And those are audited fund balance. Those are actual. This is how much we spend per month. You can get an idea. In all the funds, we spend about $14.8 million each month. And it varies, that's the average. And then you have the general fund, about 12.6 million. So we have quite of a cash flow that we need to take care of every month. We have payroll that we pay twice a month, and then we have our vendors. Subsidies is always very important because there it tells you what is a subsidy. What a subsidy is that budget or that program doesn't have enough money to run with their own revenues, and the M&O has to subsidize it. They have to come up with a difference, or else that program will not be able to function. And it's all M&O money. And as you see there, transportation, they don't fund us. That was another thing that they were projecting, because we only get funded a very low percentage of the actual transportation. That's why we have to subsidize it. That's another one that the state was looking at increasing. The other one is athletics. You see it's a big amount. You have the other one that we have is special ed. Special ed gets funded very little. They don't get funded what they're actually should get funded. That was another one that they were looking at increasing the funding. They're mandated programs that we have to do, and yet the state is not giving us the funding that we need to operate them. So those are all your subsidies. We're talking about $26.4 million. And there you can see last year versus this year, and there the only difference is that the one that was already approved, which was the food service remodel. That's the only difference between this year to next year. Projects. We haven't just had a good fund balance when compared to previous years. We've done a lot with our monies. And this year, this is a 23-24, we did $17.1 million of projects. And it all came from our own money. We didn't do a bond election. We didn't do any type of other type of funding. We paid it from cash. And all those projects that you see there, I know Mr. Salinas certified this. He's the one that gave me most of the projects to make sure that we were okay with the amounts and the projects. And all these projects are either completed or have been funded already. Next slide. These are the increases that we've been given, and this is a 8-year total. In the last 8 years, we've appropriated $25.8 million in salary increases. Those continue to run from year to year. They carry forward, and that just gives you an indication that we have been given increases, even though the state has not given us any money to do this. This is a summary, and when you look at that summary, it's by year, and you see there that in that year, we've done $75.9, almost $76 million worth of projects from fund balance, from our own money. And then the 25.8 of salaries, we've done over $100 million in 8 years from our fund balance. In essence, when you add the fund balance of the $57 million, we've managed in fund balance $159 million. Who would have believed we would ever be able to do this? Yeah. This is the ADA and the enrollment that I was telling you about. I know I met with Mr. Camarillo and Mr. Jesse. You look at our percentage, we're at 88%. Look at we were before COVID, 91%. And everywhere before COVID, it was 91%. So we've lost a lot of money because of the attendance. And like they were saying at the budget committee, the teachers and the principals, they're saying they're doing everything they can do to improve that enrollment, that attendance. And for whatever reason, they cannot put the pencil, what is it that they're doing, why it hasn't gone up. And we're losing about $5 million. We're easily losing 5% compared to where we were before. And we're going to continue working on that. We wouldn't have to worry about this if they would have passed the funding that we would be funded on enrollment and not ADA. So the state's taking this money away from us. This is what we do when we do the PIMS for the ADA and all the FTEs that work with PIMS. We submit this. We need to be very careful because one time we did do a really big mistake of $5 million and we had to appeal it. So now we check it, everybody checks it, and then it goes to my office and I checked it, because then whatever goes in here is, and once TA closes the window, that's what's gonna be. So that's the actual report from TSDS, so you all can see it of the actual attendance that's submitted to TA for funding purposes. Taxes, look at taxes. We're looking at our finances, look at taxes. If you look at the very bottom, EPASD, I have EPASD, City of Eagle Pass, Maury County, and then we have Maury County Hospital tax rates. Eagle Pass, we've reduced our tax rate by 40%. That is correct. In that tenure that we're looking at, a 19-year tenure, our taxes have gone from 127 to 76 cents. We've reduced it by 40%. Big tax reduction. The INS, we've been paying debt. When we pay our debt, we don't incur new debt because we have to get voter approval. That's the way other districts do it. As I was explaining in the committee, they time it so when their debt's they're gonna pay it off, they pass a bond and then they just do a new one, and that's how they say that there's no tax increase. But you have to pass the bond. So we've reduced our taxes because every time we pay our debt, we don't incur new debt. You want to look at the taxes? Look at Eagle Pass number 11. We're one of the lowest ones. We have one of the lowest rates. There's people that have more. Look at Harlandale. Harlandale is at 126, and they're very similar to us. Laredo at 121. And so we're very efficient with what we do with our resources. Our tax rate is not too high, but it's not too low either. That's a tax rate that I told you for next year on the MNO, 76 pennies. It's going to go at 75 pennies or less. So the tax rate will continue to go down. This is just the spreadsheet that I use to do the calculation for the taxes. We take into consideration the certified value. We take into consideration all the different appeals, everything that goes through the protest. And I know we have 3 board members that work with that. We have to calculate everything that you guys are doing over there. It has a domino effect over here, and it affects our revenue. So we've already done the calculation. We're just waiting to see the appraisal district to give us a certified value. They already give us the preliminary, and these are the preliminary figures. Collections. When we were looking at all those other entities, in order to be financially stable, you have to have a good tax collection rate. Because if you don't collect your taxes, you're going to lose money in taxes, and as you see, you're going to lose money with state because they're related, they're correlated. They go together. So our tax rate, we usually have between a 99, 98, and sometimes very close to 100% collection at the district. And we do everything we can do to keep that, because as you see, the lower the tax rate on this spreadsheet, on this graph, the less money you're getting. The higher collection rate you have, your taxes go up and your state money goes up. There's a direct correlation with that. In the city of Eagle Pass, where I worked before, they don't have that correlation. Whatever happens with their taxes, their state funding doesn't get affected. The county either. It's only school districts that their funding mechanism works that way. We're the only ones that if we don't collect, the state's gonna send us less money. If we don't get the ADA up, the state's gonna collect it more. They have like little traps everywhere so that they can take away our money. And they don't have it in other entities. So this is another one. And then the appeal, if we had lost that appeal, we would have lost a lot of money. I'm very glad to tell everybody that we were able to win the appeal and not lose that money. That's another one we were talking about during lunch with the committee. These are the values. I have to project the values that we're gonna have next year. If I don't project the values correctly, we get penalized. And that's my estimate. And we usually are very close to what they come at. So that's just to give you, to the first right, you see, if I know from TA, Eagle Pass estimate, preliminary and all those, before I get the budget approved, I have to come up with that number. And we already came up with that number. I'll show it to you in a few minutes. You'll see it here. And here you have the certified value, number 26. That's the certified value that comes from the appraisal district. Number 22 are the state values. And you see how they're correlated now. They're not behind. There is no funding lag anymore, because when you look at both of them are going up by almost the same percentage, 14.1% and the same, yes. So even though they're different numbers, I have to make sure that I don't forget of the direct correlation with both, because we're not behind a year anymore. This is a calculation that we have to do. This is what's going to come out in the newspaper. We have a fund balance. We have to project what our budget is right now. I have to project, after speaking with the superintendent, it is not final, but I have to plug in this number here. I already put there the salary increases that we're looking at. And if they don't get approved, then I just take it out and redo this formula. But I had already put the information there, and then they take away the payment, how many days it takes for us to get that first TE payment, and I have to reduce that from our fund balance, and then it'll tell you whether we have enough fund balance to cover those 25 days. So that's where the fund balance is also very important, because TA will not give you the money before the first payroll that we have for September. And this is the other thing that will go in the newspaper. After I added the salary increases and everything, I have to put there what percentage our budget's gonna go up compared to the previous year. And that's what's gonna be published if everything goes the way the superintendent is recommending for tonight. If not, we'll have to change it. Debt, we were talking about debt, that once we paid, we never incur more, we never have a bond election. And here you see our debt is going down to 36 million. We're paying about $2 million every school year, every fiscal year. That's how much we pay in debt. So our debt is going down every year. And there you see that we had the energy savings debt, and then we have the other debt that we had for our schools. That's a very low debt, may I say, for the size of our district. And then again, when we're making these payments, the state gives us money to pay our debt for that we have in our debt service. They call it existing debt allotment. They're not giving us anything because that one we already paid it off. So once we paid it off, they don't give us the money, but it's good. We paid it off. We're only getting, now the other type of funding is IFA, Instructional Facilities Allotment. They give us that money, and then the difference, we have to pay it with our tax rate. We come up with a tax rate from the INS, and then that's what we recommend to the board. So we are getting Instructional Facilities Allotment. Just to give you an indication of how this works, when we were building the SAC, that we had to go to the voters 3 times, and I remember telling them, you don't approve it this time, there's probably not gonna be any more funding after this year. And there wasn't any more funding after that year, but just to let you know, when we did that, the state paid over 80% of the cost of that SAC. We only paid 20. You look at those numbers nowadays, what we paid for that SAC, it would be like 10 times more expensive, and TA doesn't have that kind of funding anymore. So we were very, very fortunate that we were able to squeeze the money from the state, and we were able to do that beautiful SAC that we have. This is what we advertise in the newspaper when we get to look at the tax rate. All this has to be advertised in one of our newspapers here in Eagle Pass. And instead there it has 76 pennies. It'll probably have 75% or less. 75% for sure, but it might even be less. But when I come to the board, you'll see that what the amount on the tax rate is going to be. It should not be going up. This is our committee. We had to change this budget workshop a little earlier than any other year because TRS changed their laws. This is the first year they changed the law, that if we give the raise after the contract has started, a portion of that will not be counted for retirement purposes for TRS. So that the employees would be penalized. So we worked around everything, and we were able to get the budget completely done about a month and a half before, so that the employees would not suffer from that new TRS requirement. And that's why we have the approval of the salaries tonight too, so that we'll meet the deadline. This is what the raise would cost: 1%, 1.1 million. Most of it would go with professionals. Professors are teachers, teachers, RNs, librarians, and counselors. And most of the money will go to them because the numbers are higher for them. And it's not that they're getting more, is that we have more of those positions. And then manual trades and so forth. And there you get the idea what it costs to do 1%. And then this is a spreadsheet that I prepared. You'll be seeing this spreadsheet when superintendent discusses it with you, but it'll have the actual numbers of the recommendation. I have them here in a folder, Sam. I have to give them to you before you go back there. And then this is a breakdown by position of the 1%. 1%, for example, for teachers, for that category, the professionals, which includes teachers, they will get $657, and then $50 for the step if they have 0 to 4 years of experience, 1%. For teachers that have 5+ years, $657 plus 100, because the step's 100, they will get $757. That just so you can get an idea when, and the numbers are still there. You're able to see when the superintendent recommends exactly how much the teachers are getting. You'll be able to see it. It's transparent, very transparent. Good news, and I think it's good news. You see it there at our current hiring schedule. Starting salary for teachers is 53, and we're plugging in for next year to be 55. I think 55 will be a better starting salary after we're done with the budget. So we're increasing it by $2,000 if the board's okay with it. You can see our teachers on this next slide. Eagle Pass pays teachers that stay with us. The average salary for teachers, as you see, Eagle Pass is on top. We pay teachers that decide to continue working with the school district for a long period of time. The average, when you look at an average, you're looking at about a teacher that works about 20, 21 years old. That's what the average comes out. It's $65,521. We beat all those big districts, rich districts. We're ahead, and you see what the state average is, $60,000. So we're $4,805 above the state average. There you go with the state, the average, state average of $60,716. Ours is 65, and that's pretty much the formula that I showed you right now. The 657 here, 656 is the dollar. Every time that we have a rounding. That we need to decide on the rounding, just so you know, I always give the extra dollar to the teachers or to the employees. I don't never round down. So that's why that says 656, but we're gonna give them 657. This is a structure, Mr. Mijares. This is Mr. Mijares' structure. He's making some changes here. And one of the changes is on pay grade 19. We're adding an executive director position there. This is all the pay grades for all the administrators, minimum, midpoint, and max. And then these are the paraprofessionals. And then you see what we did here with the paraprofessionals, page 85. I just want to point this out. Our minimum for the lowest pay grade is $16. We want it to be above $15. There's not going to be a paraprofessional at the lowest pay grade making less than $16, because sooner or later what's going to happen is that the minimum wage is going to go up, and we already want to have our schedules already in place so that the Fair Labor Standards Act doesn't make us have to go into our budget and have an expenditure there that we were not looking for. So it used to be 15, we reduced it to 16. And then you have the manual trades. And then you have there the manual trades, the starting is $14, the lowest. And we'll continue trying to improve those as much as we can, but as you know, the manual cannot be higher than the paraprofessionals. These are all the classroom teachers, librarians, counselors, and nurses, and you see where they fall depending on the number of years of service. We have some people where you only see a 1 because they have over 40 years of experience. There's very few of them. And then you see some the number of years of experience where you have a lot more because it's not as many years of experience. That's so you'll know where your staff is, whether you have staff that's just beginning, whether you have staff that has a lot of years of experience, and where most of them are. This is for all the professionals. Now we put everybody that's a professional, and it's over 925, and there you see where they fall. And then you go to the next spreadsheet, and then you see the breakdown. You say, hey, that's just telling me that it's 925. Then you go here, and it balances with the 925, and then you get to see the actual positions. That way, you know what that 925 is, okay? And then you have the other categories, which we discuss. Administrators, we have 93 administrators. Right now, we looked at the structure where Mr. Mijares added a position. Well, how many people? We have 93 there. Paraprofessionals, we have 400 and something there, and then you have the other categories. We do have over 2,500 employees. That's a big amount for Eagle Pass, City of Eagle Pass here in this community, okay? This is a health insurance. The health insurance is going up by 5% for next year. I was able to keep it at 5%. It should have been 10%. We were able to keep it at 5%. The employees are not gonna pay anything. The school district is gonna pay the increase the way we've done it in the past. It's already in the budget. I already worked it out so that we can work with that. And there will not be, we're not gonna reduce benefits, we're not gonna do anything. We're just the district's gonna pay the 5%, the employees are not gonna see a difference in their paycheck, no reduction in their paycheck or anything, and that's the way we've set it up. These are the rates. Those are the rates for next year. They increased by 5%. However, when you see the employees' portion, their portion is not increased. And this is this year's. This one's next year's, and this one's this year. Let's look at the health insurance, and let's compare it to other school districts. This is on a monthly basis. The employee pays 70% on a monthly basis for employee only. If they have a spouse, they pay $344. If they have an employee and child, $213. If they have employee and family, $601. When you compare those rates, like for Harlandale, they pay $601 over there, they pay $1,190, and their plan is nowhere near to the plan that we have. So when you take the average, we're below every single category. That's a hell of a deal that they're getting, and they've been getting for many years. The next slide, this is on an annual basis, the same information. They would pay for employee only. For the whole year, they will pay $849, and then $4,100, $2,500, and $72. And then you see Harlandale, they're paying $14,000. So they might have their teacher salaries a little higher than us, but the employee loses this when they have to pay for the health insurance. They're actually getting paid less than working for us. And that's something that I teach Mr. Costilla to make sure he emphasizes when he goes out and recruits, because it's a big difference. And remember, these are not tax employees. This is tax-free. They don't have to pay taxes on it. And then here, you're going to be looking at the district's contribution. How do we keep it so low? In this case, our number is much higher because EPISD is paying, the employees paying $898, as I showed you, but EPISD is paying $10,776. So we're bearing the cost for the employee because health insurance is not free. Somebody has to come up with the money, and nobody comes close to us. So in essence, $55,000 plus $10,076, you're looking at what? A lot more money. You're not even being taxed for it. So those are actual numbers that all the other districts are paying for their employees, and we're really paying a big chunk of their benefits for health insurance. And then here you get the percentage. If you want to look at percentage, the 888, 12% is paid by the employee of the total cost. 88% is paid by EPISD. So when you're looking at that contribution of the cost, the employee is only paying 12%. We're paying 88%. The district is, which is a very good rate to be paying for health insurance. And then this all the rates. I know Ms. Persaud wants to know all the different French benefits, whether some of them are going up or not. And these are all the rates, all the French benefit rates that are incurred. And as you see, very stable. Very stable. Everything's very stable. You only see the big jump there of the health insurance by 5%. Other than that, it's minimal, whatever's being affected. So those are gonna be the rates that we have for next year. We did get our additional requests. We sent them back in March. It was 7.1 million. And a lot of those requests, Mr. Salinas already took care of those. As you said, we did almost $18 million. So a lot of this stuff, we already went ahead and addressed them. And like we said, I know 5 years ago, we were kind of just doing stuff after the fact and trying to keep up. And now we're being proactive. We're not doing that anymore. We're going ahead. And we're taking care of all the major things, right, Mr. Salinas? We're taking care of everything that's major, everything that's required by law, everything that requires a permit, everything that needs to happen. We're doing it a little bit different. And our safety has always become our priority, right? And then this is a breakdown, so you can see by campuses who submitted. The ones that are big amounts is because they're requesting a huge addition, a building to their facility. These are the financial statements on page 116. This is what I give you every month. And as you see, has a lot of information, a lot more than what I presented today, and you get this every month. So you're able to see every month, every time we have a monthly meeting, I provide you this report as a monthly report. And everything you see there, general fund, you see all the 20 funds that are part of it. You get last year, you get this year's budget, you get what we spent, and you get to see everything that's happening to the district when it has to do with finances. Whether I go over it with you or not, it's transparent. It is there. And we've been very fortunate that we haven't had any surprises with anything that has to do with funding. We've been able to carry the district in a very unique way that we know what's going to happen and we tell you what's going to happen way before it happens. That concludes the presentation. I don't know if there's any other questions. Sorry, my voice was bad, but I just got COVID a few days, about a week ago, and I'm recovering.
Nope. As always, Mr. Mijares, very good job by you and your team. Please let him know of that. And thank you. Thank you for all the information. Are we going to action items? All right. Well, with that, we move to action items. We did all the workshop 1 through 9. Now we move to action items. Number 1, consider and take appropriate action on the request to award sealed proposal number 242704 for Eagle Pass High School track relocation, and the board delegates the superintendent or designee the authority to make related budgeted purchases of goods or services as per board policy CH, and to amend the budget accordingly to include matters related to this project.
Yes, this is an item that we tabled last time because we wanted to. And we have Mr. Powell here so that maybe he can make a brief presentation.
daughter got a place this spring semester.
I got it during Thanksgiving.
You did?
Well, last year, not this. It was good because it was during the break. But I haven't gotten it after that.
Thank you, Mr. Mijares. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. I'm going to try to keep this as brief as possible. We're making a recommendation to move forward with JP Sanchez Construction for the alternate number 1 site, which is the site on the left on the screen here. There's a couple of reasons. I'll get into that in just a minute. But the recommendation is to move forward with JP Sanchez Construction for $5,065,800 and a schedule of 340 days. We received 3 bids. This one was $500,000, more or less lower than the next competitor, and another $500,000 lower than the third competitor. So it's a very good value to the district for the work. What I would like to get into at this point, if you are willing, is to discuss why we're going with the recommendation of alternate number 1 as opposed to the base bid, which is the site on the right. I've got a pointer, so I'm going to run over and get
Mr. Powell, I do have a question.
it. Yes.
J. Sanchez, they have the experience of building tracks, or?
They have probably the most experience of contractors that bid. Hellas is actually the third contractor. They do the track. They are actually the subcontractor for JP Sanchez to build the track. So if JP Sanchez is awarded the job, Hellas will build the track. The reason that we are going with this orientation versus this orientation is kind of demonstrated by this series of lines right here, which is a major transmission power line for AEP. I think the next image will kind of summarize the concern. So if we were to move forward with that project on that site, we would always have the fear of 122,000 volt power line hanging approximately 20 feet above the track. That's just too much of a concern to feel good about a recommendation for that site. It looks great, it's pretty, it's on a highly traveled intersection, but from a recommendation standpoint, there's just too much risk. AEP this morning, we did have a kind of a conversation with AEP to try to understand what their plans for the power lines were. And they've had the concept in hand for over a year, but this morning is the first time they actually came out and said that if we built this, we would be in violation of the utility codes. So unfortunately, we got this information way too late to at least not have it considered, but fortunately, we do have the alternate that got priced, and we're ready to move forward with the alternate site. Obviously, in addition to the proximity of the lines to the track, there's constructability issues that we'd be having heavy equipment underneath those lines, very, very close, which is a concern. And then usability. If we were to put the track there, you could never put a football goalpost there because it would be too close to the lines. And anytime you tried to do a sporting event other than track itself, you'd run the risk of balls hitting the lines just because they're so low. So all of these things considered, that's why we're recommending the alternate number 1 site. And JP Sanchez, because of his good value to the district with his proposal, we're recommending that proposal. Thank you. Questions?
Mr. Powell, thank you for the visual. I know we had asked last time, and it definitely helped us to actually walk the field and see the actual height of those of your safety concerns. So thank you for that. Very helpful.
Any other questions? So the high school is right across, right?
Yeah, the high school would be towards the top of the page. So the 2 softball fields are there now. Those are the better fields that are used primarily by the softball team. So they
So
stay,
this is on the back.
yeah, this is
Okay.
down the hill where the,
Okay.
closer to Graves.
Got it. Okay.
They're the existing 2 top softball fields.
Any other questions? If not, do we have a motion?
I so move.
A motion by Dr. Alvarez. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Martinez. If no other questions, all in favor? All opposed? Yes, sir. We have 1 abstention by Trustee Hiller. So motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Powell. Number 2, consideration and possible approval of the purchase of HVAC equipment for Memorial Junior High pursuant to an approved purchasing cooperative, and the board delegates the superintendent designee the authority to make related budgeted purchases of the goods or services as per board policy, and to amend the budget accordingly to include matters related to this project.
Excuse me, does that price include installation?
Yes. Yes, it's 1.7 million for installation, and I believe we're going through the buy board, Rolly?
Yes, sir, Ms. Mijares. Actually, that's the reason we're bringing it to the board right now, so that we would have permission to go through by board and get the best vendor for this particular project. We're looking at approximately 32 units for the classrooms, and it would include the units themselves plus the installation and the supervision also of the installation. We've already paid for the engineering and the plan, so that's pretty much in place. So now we've come to this other phase.
And in this situation, Mrs. Salinas, the teachers will have control of their classroom.
Correct. Well, we'll use a similar model as we do with the E3 system that we have. We'll give them a variance of certain amount of degrees.
Correct.
And that way we could continue with our energy savings initiative that we're doing, but they'll have more flexibility, you know, in regards to bringing the air level a little cooler or a little warmer. As you all well know, we have challenges during the winter months there at Memorial Junior High, so this would be an added plus for all of that.
And this will not, air in the gym and the cafeteria is separate.
It is separate. This would be uniquely for the classrooms in the wings, other than the math department where it is right now. They currently have their own units. So the classrooms would have a lot more control than they do right now.
Okay.
But our general gym area, the cafeteria, and the office area will use the system that exists right now.
Okay.
Very good. Any other questions? If not, do we have a motion? A motion by Trustee Hiller. Do we have a second? Second by Trustee Perry. If no other questions, all in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Number 3, consider to take appropriate action on the request to award sealed proposal number 24005 for Eagle Pass High School and CC Wynn multipurpose buildings, and the board delegates the superintendent or designee the authority to make related budgeted purchases of goods or services as per board policy CH, and to amend the budget accordingly to include matters related to this project.
Yes, we have Mr. Powell here. We had 3 bids, Mr. Powell? Two in this one.
This evening, we're recommending, again, JP Sanchez was the low bidder on this project. His proposal was for $4,950,000. A 420-day schedule, which would mean they would be up and running by the fall of 2025. Good news is that this proposal is $1.2 million less than we had budgeted. It's nice to finally see some easing in the cost of construction. And at this point, it looks like we're the beneficiary of that and actually having some competition on our projects again. So,
Who was the other bidder?
Frontera.
Mr. Powell, will both projects be simultaneously be worked on?
As well as the
The
bleacher
track?
cover.
Okay.
They're going to be full. And I do know that they've committed to just these 3 projects. So they may have one more with the city, but that's going to be it.
Okay.
Mr. Paul, on the timeframes of these projects, how do we oversee that they stick to the timeline, or?
That will, yes. We'll do everything we can to make sure that they're on schedule and delivering the projects in a timely manner.
When they do projects like this, do they provide the project management or do we oversee?
At this point, you don't have a third party overseeing the construction. It's just me and then their supervisor and my reports to the district.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? If not, do we have a motion?
So move.
We have a motion by Trustee Perry. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Alvarez. No other questions? All in favor? All opposed?
I'll abstain, Mr. President.
And we have an abstention by Trustee Hiller. Motion passes. The Board of Trustees of the Eagle Pass Independent School District will convene in closed session as authorized by the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, to deliberate upon the following matters. Number 1, the board will consult with his attorney regarding legal issues relating to the superintendent's annual compensation plan recommendation for the 2024-2025 school year to include employee pay increases as included in the budget, TGC 551.071. Do I have a motion to convene in closed session?
So move.
We have a motion by Trustee Hiller. Do we have a second? Second by Trustee Purcell. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. The time is 7:05 and the date is Monday, May 2024, and the Board of Trustees is now in closed session. No action will be taken in closed session. Thank you, Mr. Powell, for your presentation. Right. The time is 7:58. The date is Monday, May 2020. And the Board of Trustees of the Eagle Pass Independent School District is now in open session, and we will move to item number eight. Consider and take appropriate action on the superintendent's annual compensation plan recommendation for the 2024-2025 school year to include employee pay increase as included in the budget. Curtis?
Yes, I recommend the salary increase of 3.1 salary increase for full-time teachers, counselors, librarians, and RNs based on the teacher average salary, plus local step for a total increase of 2,083 for years 1 to 4 years of experience, or 2,133 per year for 5 or more years experience based on 187 days. 3.1 salary increases for all full-time, part-time food service, part-time transportation, and other part-time employees who are eligible for fringe benefits based on the midpoint of the employee's pay grade. Salary increase applies to employees that completed their 2023-2024 working calendar. The new starting salaries for teachers and other professionals has been increased to $55,000 for the 2024-2025 school year. I also recommend each employee should earn an additional 5, 6, or 7 paid local leave days based on the number of months of service required for the position and in accordance with the administrative regulations for the 2024-2025 school year as per board policy DEC local.
So you said 3.1%?
Yes, 3.1%.
Okay. Do we have a motion? We have a motion by Trustee Hiller. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Alvarez. Any other questions? If not, all in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you and congratulations. We now move to announcements, so adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Do we have announcements?
Yes, we gave them to you one more time. They're basically the same. We have an end of year, we're inviting the board and the cabinet to the principal's luncheon. We're gonna have the end of year luncheon with them at the Moonlight Ballroom,
Tomorrow, right?
which is tomorrow, 11:30. If you guys can join us. Also, we have the retirement banquet tomorrow at 6 p.m. at the Fine Arts Building. We have on Wednesday, this week, we have the transportation breakfast at 9:30 at the Transportation Department. On Thursday, May 23rd, we have the maintenance luncheon at 11:30 at the Maintenance Department. And of course, our EP Eagle Pass High School graduation hospitality will be starting at 6:30, and the graduation starts at 8. Saturday will be CC Win. Amenities at 6:30, and the graduation starts at 8. Tuesday board meeting will be, June board meeting will be Tuesday, June 11th, and it will be a regular board meeting. Also, a reminder on SLI is from June 12th to June 15th in San Antonio. And a reminder to do your yearly cybersecurity training. It must be completed by June 28th. All events are on your calendar, and we provided a copy for you.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Mijares. And do we have a motion to adjourn? We have a motion by Trustee Hiller. Do we have a second? Second by Dr. Alvarez. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Meeting is adjourned. It is 8:02, Monday, the 20th, 2024.